Welcome to this congregation where we seek to foster community, to grow our spirits, to serve others, and to work for justice. Our sacred space has become cyberspace. We're glad that you've joined us here this morning for our Zoom Sunday service and hope you will experience love, acceptance, and inspiration. After the service, please join us for our Zoom coffee hour. It will last as long as you want it to. So we have one important announcement today from Joanna Steer about UUFLB Community Yoga. When times are tough, community and self-care are two crucial elements to maintaining wellness. Let's bring the two together to support one another as we move forward in these uncertain times. Join Joanna for UUFLB Community Yoga. Yoga is a joyful, personal practice that brings mind, body, and spirit into balance by connecting the breath to movement. This can be amplified by practicing in a supportive group. Gentle yoga practice is accessible to anyone. As economic times are challenging in the face of the global pandemic, Joanna is offering these classes to our community free of charge. However, if you feel moved to make a donation to UUFLB in honor of our yoga community, please feel free to do so. Classes are held via Zoom on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays at 9:15 in the morning, with Zoom sessions opening around 9 so you can work out any technical issues, closing at 10:30 to allow community conversation after the class. Please email Joanna at yogajoywithjoanna@gmail.com, yogajoywithjoanna@gmail.com to get on the yoga email list to receive the links to join the sessions, free of charge. As we progress into our cyber sacred space, we will be having a typical service again next week, but the following week, Libby will be joining us, Reverend Libby Smith. So just mark your calendars for April 19th especially to join us. We will continue with the monthly touchstone themes, which give our Sunday services guiding foundation. This year's overarching theme is building beloved community, which is needed now more than ever. But beloved community is not accidental. It occurs through intention and must be thoughtfully nurtured. Instead of looking at one another with the hard eyes of judgment, beloved community requires the soft eyes of respect. It is a place where we need not think alike to love alike. Our monthly themes strive to help you shape your days and guide your journey. We're excited to share the April sermon topic of the divine God. God is eternal, God is love, God is the nothing and the all, both simple and complex. God is the theist's joy, the atheist's foil, and the agnostic's doubt. Let us enter into worship together. Love that bell. If you have your order of service handy, or you might remember these words by heart, please say them with me now as Gil lights our chalice. We light our chalice this morning, grateful for the love that we experience in this beloved community. May this flame light our way to inner peace, to love for each other, and faith in ourselves. Our call to worship this morning is from the Reverend Susan Manker Seal. We speak to the God, the goddess, the spirit of life, the eternal. We speak to the mysterious thread that connects us one to the other and to the universe. We speak to the deep wisdom at the center of our beings. We embody the yearning of all people to touch each other more deeply, to hear each other more keenly, to see each other's joys and sorrows as our own and know that we are not alone. Unless we create solitude for ourselves, and even then, community awaits us. Out of our yearning, we've come to this religious community. May we help each other to proclaim the possibilities we see, to create the community we desire, to worship what is worthy in our lives, to teach the truth as we know it, and to serve with justice in all the ways that we can, to the end that our yearning is assuaged and our lives fulfilled in one another. Let us go now into the silence of the faith that is unique to each of us and still the same. Let us be silent together for just a moment. And Jeff Fisher will give us our opening words.
Our opening words this morning are from the Reverend Sarah Movius Schur. Emmanuel means God is with us. Who is your Emmanuel? Who is your God is with us? The one you were promised, the one you've been waiting for. For the ancient prophet Isaiah, he was a boy soon to be born who would guide the people of Judah back to peace and harmony with God. He would bring hope for victory and greatness in the tribe. He would be a gift from God to his chosen people. Who is your Emmanuel? Your God is with us. He is Jesus of Nazareth, the baby in the Christmas story, who grew to be a remarkable teacher among the Jewish people, whose ideas about love, forgiveness, and justice changed the world forever. Who is your Emmanuel? Your God is with us. Perhaps your Emmanuel is a political leader, standing for the rights of the oppressed, a Martin Luther King, a Gandhi, a Mother Jones. Perhaps in their work with people, you feel God is with us. Who is your Emmanuel? Your God is with us. Perhaps your Emmanuel is an artist, bringing transcendence to the human spirit and lifting our hopes and dreams into the light. A J.S. Bach, a Martha Graham, a William Shakespeare. Perhaps in the presence of great beauty and creativity, you feel God is with us. Who is your Emmanuel? Your God is with us. Perhaps it is a child created from our bodies, the child who is filled with the potential to do every great thing. Your promise from God that the world has hope for justice and beauty. For in the presence of a child, we too can feel that God is with us all.
Beautiful. Now is the time in our service when we recognize and lift up one another in love. Let us be fully present and listen to these joys and sorrows with open hearts. We will begin with sorrows. So what you need to do is click on participants. I think you'll find that at the bottom of your screen, and then click raise hand, and Gil will unmute people one at a time. So click your raise hand on your computer, on your iPad, on your phone. Gloria. Hang on a second. Wait. Is she unmuted? Mm-hmm. Okay, Gloria.
My ongoing concern, of course, is Ed, all alone in his room, locked in, of course, as they have to be for their safety. And he feels so lonely and forgotten. And if anyone could call, he's always next to his phone now. They don't have to look for him because he's locked in next to it. I have his phone number here. It's 215-486-4108. That would go a long way towards making him feel less lonely. Thank you.
Colleen.
Oh, I was just looking at the numbers, and I just want to express my intense sorrow for all these families that have lost all of these family members, and how very, very difficult it must be for them.
Yeah.
It just breaks my heart.
Scroll down.
Does anybody want to raise their hand the old-fashioned way?
Anybody else have a sorrow to share? How about a joy? Does anybody have a joy to share? Oh, Jeff Fisher, I think, has his hand up.
Mine was, forgive me, mine was actually a sorrow, I guess, more so. Anne's not with us this morning. She's taken Adam to the emergency room. He's had a nasty, horrible set of hives and nausea for the last few days. We're not really sure what it is. We think it might be some form of a massive yeast infection, but he wasn't able to get any help from urgent care yesterday, and we were hoping it would turn and get better, but it hasn't. So they headed into the emergency room, which is a dicey thing to begin with. So keep your thoughts with Adam for this time. We're not sure what's going on there.
Sure will. All right, does anybody have a joy to share? Whoops, wait.
Kathy.
Kathy? Is that Kathy White?
I think so.
Robin and Bill, possibly? We were unmuted.
Oh, Bill. And Robin?
Yeah, I just wanted to say that it's my parents, Mary Jane and Bill's wedding anniversary today.
Wow.
Years. So I didn't
How
know-
many years?
67.
Wow.
Yeah. So there, I'll find out later how they're celebrating. I think they're probably watching right now, but unfortunately they can't hear. You know, they haven't got quite set up yet, you know, but they're probably watching. So, hi, Mom. Hi, Dad.
Okay. Go to Mary Beth. Please. Takes a minute. Hang on.
Anybody else?
Does anybody else have a joy or sorrow to share?
Physically raise
Just
your hand.
Kathy White.
Oh, here I am. Yeah, no, this is actually more on the sorrow side. It's a person I work with, his wife has lupus and something else that, you know, and they were in the hospital, or she's been in the hospital for a couple of days, just came back. So it's tough on him because he doesn't have any help and he's got 2 young kids. So that's, his name's Ryan and her name is Lee.
Okay. Anyone else? I think that's a no. Well, we're grateful for the opportunity to gather together once again in community. We open our hearts and our souls and our minds during this time of worship and this sharing of joys and sorrows. For the joys shared, we join you. Well, we didn't really share any joys, but there's still some happy moments in everybody's life, and we join each other in celebration. For sorrows and concerns spoken here, I hope you can feel our sympathy and compassion. But for all that remains unspoken, both joy and sorrow, may the caring of our community offer you both kindness and hope. We now pause for a moment of gratitude, silent meditation, and prayer before Jim Harvin gives us a beautiful interlude.
Just good to go. Should tell.
In keeping with the theme, here's a song by Neil Young. Was he thinking about my country or the color of my skin? Was he thinking about my religion or the way I worship him? Did he create just me in his image? Or every living thing? When God made me, when God made me, when God made me, when God made me. Was he planning only for believers, or for those who just have faith? Did he envision all the wars that were fought in his name? Did he say there was only one way to be close to him? When God made me, when God made me, when God made me, when God made me. Did he give me the gift of voice? For some could silence me. Did he give me the gift of vision? Not knowing what I might see. Did he give me a gift of compassion to help my fellow man? When God made me, when God made me, when God made me, when God made me.
And next, Gil will read a nice meditation.
Hello.
For a little more.
Our meditation this morning is from the Reverend Richard M. Fox. Many of us, so God, don't believe in prayer. We're more comfortable with meditation, particularly the silent part. And some of us aren't sure we believe in God, or we scarcely know what the word means. But we do know that we care about one another and the kind of world that we live in. We care, dear God, we care, and sometimes the care we feel scares us because we're afraid to care too much for all those we love, too much for friends and companions along the way, too much for all the poverty, pain, and injustice in the world, too much for those who suffer needlessly and without cause, too much for the waving grain and falling leaves, the passing of transient beauty before our eyes, too much for the depth of anguish and grief we might feel if we allowed ourselves to care too much for what can so easily be lost. If we could pray out of the deep well of our capacity to care, we might say, "Oh God, let this care we feel become the bond of love that unites and heals us within and without, that joins us in body and spirit with the hopes and aspirations of people everywhere. Let our loving concern for those in our midst be the spark that inflames our loving concern for universal humanity. If we can't pray for lack of words or for too little belief in the power of prayer, then, dear God, let our care be our prayer, and may we find the answer to all our prayers, spoken and unspoken, in the daily human expression of our loving concern. Hear our prayer, O God, as we dare to care, now and here and everywhere.
With love and gratitude every Sunday, we choose to give back to our local and broader community by sharing with a group that provides needed services to our community. But since we obviously cannot pass a basket around, please think about doing one of the following. Either send a check to the office, or even easier, put some cash or a check into a special envelope, like this one. Keep the envelope handy and put some cash or check into it every Sunday or anytime during the week until the time when we can be together again in person, and then hand in the envelope. As a reminder, to keep our church operating, if possible, please make sure your pledge money is up to date, as our fiscal year ends in just 6 weeks. This will ensure continued services when we reopen at Penryn. Now I'm excited to introduce the Kelly family. Janet, Rich, and Jody will provide a reading, but much, much more.
Good morning. Today would have been the day we had our UUFLB Passover Seder. Our service always started with a welcoming song expressing happiness that we are together. And I should have said during Joys and Concerns that it is truly a happiness that we can be together like this. It is still appropriate for us to sing about being together. And right now, Jody is going to lead us in a song called Hine Ma Tov, which we've sung every year. And in English, that means how good and pleasant it is for brothers and sisters to sit together. Hine ma tovu manayim, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tovu manayim, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tov, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tov, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tovu manayim, shevet achim gam yachad. Okay. We have celebrated together for the last 8 years. UU Passover was a morning that we sang together, danced together, and shared special food. Together we told the ancient story of the Jewish people who fled slavery into a promised land of freedom. We recognize modern forms of slavery and traditionally donated funds to support organizations that fight to empower and liberate those that need help. In a recent opinion piece for the New York Times, Alana Newhouse wrote, "Perhaps you're disappointed because you can't celebrate the way we're used to. But do you also remember matzah, the unleavened cracker we eat because Jews rushed out of their homes before their bread could rise? This entire holiday is rooted in glorifying a moment when life unfolded in very unexpected ways, and human beings found meaning, even liberation in it."
One of the elements of the Passover story is a recitation of the plagues that befell Egypt. We dip our fingers into wine, our symbol of joy, and take a drop out for each plague mentioned. We are metaphorically saying that our joy is not complete until is not complete when our neighbors suffer. While this is a Jewish story, we UUs have made it our own. We have always made it our responsibility to help when we see suffering. COVID-19 is our modern plague. It is blind to race, religion, class, and political party. National borders are meaningless to a virus. We understand now, more than ever, that we are truly a global family. Our strength as human beings is our resiliency during difficult times. We are quarantined, but we are not alone. We are finding creative ways to connect with each other, as we are right now.
At Passover, we honor Elijah the prophet. He inspires us all to work toward a future where the world is at peace and justice and compassion reign. So this is the song Eliyahu Hanavi. Eliyahu Hanavi, Eliyahu Habtishvi, Eliyahu, Eliyahu, Eliyahu Agilati, Imhera Yamenu, Yavo Elenu, Himashiach ben David, Himashiach ben David, Eliyahu Hanavi, Eliyahu Hatishvi, Eliyahu, Eliyahu, Eliyahu Agilati.
I would like to close with some words from the Reverend Deborah W. Hafner. She's a Unitarian minister. We are on a journey. We didn't plan it. We didn't have time for the bread to rise. We may find ourselves in the wilderness, hungry, thirsty, doubting that we should have ever come. But look around. We are not alone. It is our journey together. A journey to our better selves, a journey to a better world, a journey to a more promised land.
Thank you, Kellys. I loved all of it. I missed having the Seder, though. We will have some wonderful closing words from Colleen Stow. Please speak loudly, Colleen.
Thank you, Sherry. These words were printed in a newsletter that one of the secretaries at work is charged with. And when I looked up the author, her name is Laura Kelly Fanucci. I think she had a difficult time with being able to carry children. And she has, as she said, 3 babies in heaven and 3 sons here on earth. And she became rather religious. She has a divinity degree from St. John's. And she writes, "When this is over, may we never again take for granted a handshake with a stranger, full shelves at the store, conversations with neighbors, a crowded theater, Friday night out, the taste of communion, a routine checkup, the school rush each morning, coffee with a friend, the stadium roaring, each deep breath, a boring Tuesday, and life itself. When this ends, may we find that we have become more like the people we wanted to be. We were called to be. We hoped to be. And may we stay that way, better for each other because of the worst." Thank you.
Thank you, Colleen. It gives me goosebumps. We're going to extinguish our chalice, excuse me, our chalice now. So if you have your order of service handy, please say with me those words that are so familiar. We extinguish our chalice, but we keep its light in our hearts. May it light our path as we leave this place and guide our way until we are together again in person. May we go in peace. Our service is concluded, but let us continue in fellowship with our Zoom coffee hour. Gil will unmute everyone